And we have a champion.
And that's time.
And we're done.
15 seconds.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Can anyone get a score? Just trying to figure out probably which one of those might have an early winner, because again, we're trying to find the throw.
Oh, Morgan's got it. Morgan Carr. Morgan Carr is the Excel czar. Morgan Carr, a superstar.
Oh, I love it.
He comes to cell number 30 in the movement number 8. Then next time he goes back 3 cells and probably goes forward 2 cells or something like that. What's going to happen next? If she has received one answer correctly, if she's able to get all the numbers done, and the first one is correct, actually, she's copying the formulas. If she's able to do that the right way, she's going to be getting 1,000 points straight away, and there's going to be a clear win there. That's quite a lot.
Ooh,
oh my God, how
the score? So Gabrielle has taken the lead in this match. She's clearly fixed up one of her formulae. We can see that she's managed to solve quite a lot of problems now. So now the pressure is on Anup in the last minute to see if he can catch up those last few questions he needs to get back ahead and retake the lead.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Wow, wow, wow. That was an amazing, amazing match. Oh my gosh.
It looks as though Joseph's actually pulled ahead over Diarmid at 550. Finished off top 4.
Oh no.
Yeah, and Michael Jarman as well, finishing off as well there. So Joseph sitting with a sizable lead here, unless Diarmid can pull it back. Let's go ahead and pull it on over to Joseph real quick and see where he's working right now. With a minute 40 to spare. Probably feeling fairly comfortable in this lead right now, but still working.
But he had them eggshells and flour everywhere and butter on the floor, but that pie is coming together.
And he does have a little table. See that little table of ones and minus ones beneath his results.
a little difference table there starting at row 14, you're right.
Right, yeah. So
He has just done something good.
There are many software, cloud, and technology providers, but there's only one who brings it all together to move business forward. Software One. Because who we are makes what we do better. Determined and tenacious, we are driven to deliver. Gathered from all over the world with diverse expertise, global perspectives, and the grit to get things done. We are thousands strong. One company, all in. Our way transcends technology. It's smarter than just software. We bring deep, data-driven insight together with people who can guide every facet of your journey, from where you've been to where you need to be. An expertise like no other, because no one else can act on software and cloud intelligence like we do. End to end, side by side, building better outcomes. All in one. Software One.
Hello and welcome. We're here for a live stream of the qualification round for the Microsoft Excel World Championship. And just to give you a sense, this is all part of a whole series that is the Road to Las Vegas. It's been an event running all through the year and still more to come. So there's been 9 sort of preliminary battles every month, all year up to now. I guess about 30, 40 people have pre-qualified from that. Now today's round is the chance for another 75 or so people to qualify and join those. And then everybody goes into a single elimination bracket from 128 down to 64, down to 32, down to 16. And the top 8 are going to be competing live in Las Vegas in early December for, fame, glory, and piles of cash. So this event is sort of a victory lap for the people taking part today, because the 4 contestants here today have all pre-qualified for the draw of 128. So they're just going to be showing everybody how they tackle the round. So my name is Diarmuid Early. I'm here with Jordan Goldmeyer, who's going to be co-hosting. Just to give you a quick introduction, Jordan is a very long time Excel MVP. He's a sort of wizard of especially data visualization, data and analytics. He's just written a new book. I think your 4th book now?
Yeah, my 4th book.
Called Data Smart, just out. Check it out. And yeah, he's going to be co-hosting today. Welcome, Jordan.
Awesome. Yeah, so happy to be here. Right now, I'm in Columbus, Ohio, of all places, but I'm really sitting here waiting to see what our challengers have to offer today, because I think this is really, really exciting.
I mean, I feel like that's very, very on brand that, who knows where Jordan is going to be coming from, right? Because you're a digital nomad these days. So
true. It's true.
That's exciting.
Definitely. And, Diarmuid, you've been where these people have been before, right? So you've been in these competitions before. So how would you feel like right now, right before, if you were just starting?
I mean, I've been doing these for like 10 years now. I always feel nervous when it's go time. Yeah, it has never gone away. I guess that's just a sign of, I'm hopelessly addicted, but I still get the adrenaline rush and I still get the nerves every time.
Awesome. Well, it's good to know it's still fun, assuming you.
Oh yeah. I mean, I wouldn't keep doing it for 10 years if it wasn't fun.
That's true. Fair point.
All right. So shall we meet our players?
Let's do it.
So, like I mentioned, these 4, along with a number of others, have all already qualified for the draw of 128. So, why don't I go first? I'll introduce you to Thanasis. Thanasis is originally from Greece, now living in Malta, and this is his first time in this competition, but he was a finalist last year in the Microsoft Excel Collegiate Challenge, which is the sort of equivalent thing to this for university students. So welcome, Thanasis. How are you feeling about today? We can't hear you, Thanasis. You might need to...
Hello. I also feel the pressure, Dim, to be honest. So it will not get away.
No, some things never change from the first time to the last. All right, so on the top right, we've got Adam Reichenbach joining us from Hungary. Adam told us he spent 10 plus years working in Excel in finance and controlling roles, and now he has abandoned his first love to go and do data warehousing work. So this is his chance at Excel redemption today. Welcome, Adam.
Thanks.
Jordan, I don't know. Do you want to introduce the others, or I'm happy to just keep yapping, whatever you prefer.
No, I mean, happy to introduce Chris, all the way from England. Chris, how you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. The nerves talked about, but I'm happy I can't finish any lower than 4th.
I mean, it's a tournament of champions. There are no losers here today.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And Greg from the United States. How are we doing?
Pretty good. Excited. Ready to see how it goes. It looks like what we've seen so far. It looks like it'll be a fun challenge today.
Awesome.
I think so. I mean, I don't know. There's a couple hundred people here in the chat most of whom have probably just finished doing the problem. So I'll be interested to see whether they agree with you that it's fun having lived through it.
Did anyone bring a good luck charm? Like, is there a good luck charm or something that you do before to prep? No. Excel people,
there's no luck. It's all skill, Jordan.
Yeah, right. Well, I guess we don't believe in luck. We're data people. But Dearman, do you have a good luck charm, or you're going in?
I got nothing. But you know, my good luck charm in this case is I got to do this yesterday in the comfort of my home with nobody watching, as a previewer. You know, Bill Jellin has always said he's the smart one for always being on this side of the competition, and I'm seeing that there's a certain appeal to that.
I didn't want to say it, you know. I didn't want to bring it up.
All right, so I think it is time for us to take a look at the video that's going to walk us through the case that the players are going to be tackling today.
To the Road to Las Vegas qualification round of the Microsoft Excel World Championship 2023, with the finals taking place in Las Vegas in December. We are glad to present you the case for the round, the #1 Fan 2023, created by Andrew Grigoljunovic, the founder of the tournament. Just like the last year, this is a series of 5 mini cases or sections that are not connected with each other. These sections are inspired by our previous competitions. However, they have been significantly changed so that it is not possible to get points using previous solutions. Remember that you have to score more points than your competitors in your region. Some of the sections are easier than others, but they give less points for solving correctly. Carefully select the sections you want to solve. If you get stuck, just move to another section. Sometimes it might make sense to manually solve a question or two for the section just to get some points. Also note that there are 5 bonus questions available for you. The total number of points available is 10,000. You have 1 hour to score as many points as you can. We also encourage you to finish earlier if you feel you can't score any more points until the end of the hour. In case of a draw, the amount of time spent will determine the winners. Plan your strategy wisely. Good luck and see you in Las Vegas.
Okay, so our live participants just got the case. They're going to take a few minutes to read through it, and we can talk a little bit about it. But nothing strategic yet because they can still hear us. We'll talk strategy once they get started. But so Jordan, I don't know if you saw this last year, but the format, the #1 Fan is a sort of repeat of last year's qualifier round. So it's like 5 mini cases inspired by, but also different from past Excel esports cases. So a couple of these are ones that came up during the Road to Las Vegas battles earlier in the year. Some of them are from earlier years, but most of the actual kind of questions are quite different from what was asked at the time. So there's not a whole lot of advantage for having tackled them before.
It's true. And I did look through it and I noticed that I had seen some of those questions before. So I thought to myself, this was kind of like a greatest hits of, ones that they had done before. Definitely really interesting, challenging questions. I'll say that.
Yes, for sure. And it's interesting. I think last year was maybe, my sense at least was last year was a little bit more kind of, this is just straight up a section from an old question that you might have done exactly this thing before. This year, almost all of them are actually quite different. Like it's okay, Bear Island, there's an island, there are bears, there's a map, but the question you have to answer is totally different from the original Bear Island. I mean, for me, the really interesting thing about this is, normally you've only got half an hour, and sprinting for half an hour is a little bit easier than sprinting for a full hour. Yep. But the other thing is, normally it's like 5 levels that kind of build on each other pretty sequentially. This time, if you want to try and do the whole thing, you've got maybe 10 minutes per case, 2 minutes per bonus. If you're moving at a pretty quick clip, it's going to be very frenetic for the participants today.
Well, let me ask you this, because I went through and we know that they rate them easy, medium, etc. Do you find, having done these challenges before, that those, like when it says, oh, this problem's easier than that actually lines up from when you...
I would say mostly yes, not 100%. Okay. Because a lot of it is just there are different approaches. Like some of them are very much like, if you have a neat idea, it might just fall out. But if you don't have a neat idea, you might have to really like whack it with a hammer for a while. Whereas some of them are, it's relatively obvious how to approach it, and it's just kind of speed of execution. So I'd say most of the time, the points are a reasonably good indicator of how hard I'm going to find it. But sometimes it breaks in either direction. It's like, actually, it says this one's really hard, but I think I got this. Or it says this one's easy, but
yeah, right. Or is that when it's really hard, when you're like, this is easy, like what's taking me so long? You know, like I should be getting that when it gets into your head.
Oh yeah, I mean the stress, the time pressure is very real. And
Mhm.
you know the participants who do this all the time will almost all tell you about this. It's like, you know, if you get in even a minor rut and like you lose
Mhm.
5 minutes, like the pressure associated with that is major, because it's suddenly like, oh crap, you know, okay, it feels like I've gone down a wrong path, but you know, I lose 5 of my 30 minutes, or you know, in this case, like 5 of the 10 minutes I was hoping to get this case done in.
Yeah.
Do I try to restart with a different approach? Do I try to push on through? It's hard to know what to do. And yeah, people often get flustered, get kind of panicked.
So, in thinking that, like, you know, are the people watching this, you know, I guess some of them have just like like gone through their own challenge. But like, if you were just thinking through this and you just sat down to work through these things, what's your strategy? Do you review every question first, try to rate them, or do you find the first thing you can attack and just go?
It's an interesting question. I'm not going to comment on that until we send the participants off to start
Okay, fair
working.
enough.
But then yes, let's definitely talk strategy.
Okay.
So I think they've all had a few minutes to read. So let's bring
Mhm.
them back in. So guys, any questions? Any final words? All right, Jordan, you want to count us in?
You mean like at a 10-second mark, or?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You
All
can go
right.
for 3 if you want, but
All right, let's do 3. Hey guys.
100.
100. All right. No,
No, you don't
all
get
right,
that
guys.
much time.
On go. All right. 3, 2, 1, go. And
All right. So I mean, just to the exact point you said, Jordan, I think the
Okay.
most interesting thing to see here is going to be, where do people start? Like, I mean, for me, when I went through this, I just did the first question first and the second question second, and just kind of, you know, did them one at a time. But you know, they've had a few minutes to pre-read, so maybe they're going to say, okay, let's jump around a bit. I'm kind of scanning here. I see some people. Looks like Greg is going straight for the first bonus, and maybe Adam and Thanasis are both. Oh no, Thanasis is now also going for the first bonus.
Greg has
Adam
something
seems to be
interesting
working
up
on the
here.
first one.
You can see Greg has 2 windows on his screen, so this is maybe something different.
That's
I've
pretty
never
smart,
done something.
actually. He's so
Yeah.
what we're looking at here is the thing on the left hand side is the Excel online file that they have to post the answers into. So they're going to do all their work in a local file, but then so that we can see live results, it's all going to come back in here. So it looks like Greg is working on the bonus for the first couple of questions asks about like how many times different digits occur across like all of a bunch of, so like, you know, across, what is this? This is, oh yeah, this is the number of spins in the story of the reel. So he's trying to work out like which digit occurs most often across all these different numbers. So he's concatenating them all together, trying to figure out how much. It looks like he's saying how long is that string, and then how much shorter does it get if I take out some digits from it.
He's great use of Excel online. You know, I'm a big. I think that's a really good use of that. And so he went for the bonus question first, and I guess I'm wondering, why would someone want to go for the bonus question first?
I mean, I guess it's a quick way to get points on the board if you get it right. I see an answer in there, and it looks like he did not get it right because he hasn't scored any points. Oh, it looks like Thanasis has got 300
I was just
points
about
on
to
the
say.
board. Should
Let's
we
take a look.
Should we flip over to him, see what's going on?
I think we should.
But remember, I feel like all the scores in this round are much higher, so that must mean he hasn't got. Oh, maybe must mean he got the bonus question out.
So let's see here.
So he's got the first bonus out.
Yeah,
he's working on
got
the first
Microsoft.
level.
I gotta say, when I was trying this out, what the formula he just showed is exactly what I used. That mid, and then using sequence.
Nice. I attempted this one all in one cell. With some like scan madness.
I liked it. I saw yours. You sent it to me. I was like, this is like what you did reminded me a lot of like lapply in R. But yeah, like I think that just this is such an interesting problem and how to do it. And like you said, you know, really the real finesse is to solve it in one cell, but I have a hard time. I had a hard time doing it. So congrats on.
I mean, honestly, I'm not sure that's like for any of these guys doing it live. I'm not sure that's the best approach. I mean, maybe if you're very used to it, but like the way Thanasis is laying it out here, like it's very auditable because everything is kind of laid out. He can see, okay, I've got these letters, I've got these matches, I've got these points. It's all quite logical. I like it. I like his layout. But I guess he's got a. So just I guess for people watching, I don't think the video explained it in a ton of detail, but this is basically a variant on. I guess we didn't want to say Hangman because that's slightly morbid, but this is Snowman, but same basic idea, which is you're guessing letters, and when you get 10 wrong letters, you're out. But then there's also a scoring system. So if you any letters you get on the first guess, you get, I think it's 250 points, and then it drops by 10 points every letter from there until you get 10 wrong, and then you're knocked out. And then I think there's also like a kicker at the end. If you get the whole word out, then you double your points, and if you get eliminated, then you have your points.
And I think that was the hardest part for me. Like doing this part, getting the logic laid out, was a lot easier. But man, the points, I was just looking at this, I was just going through it a lot. We can see here, you said you use scan. Thanasis is using scan. He's also using lambda. And so I think that, it's really interesting how these new array formulas have changed the landscape. You can just see it in these contests.
This is pretty cool. So yeah, I think he's done the exact same scan as I did, which he's using scan to get a running total of how many wrong guesses have been made so far. So that's going to be helpful, except that it looks like he's laid out the scores a different way than I did. He's done it by the order of the letters in the word. I did it by the order of the letters in the guesses, which sort of lined up more with the scan. So that's going to be interesting to see how he converts from that. Why don't we flip and see? I'm curious to see if everybody has started on case 1. But why don't we look at Chris or Adam, since we haven't seen them yet, see what they're up to. Oh, he's figuring out if he's won or lost. That's smart.
Yep.
Can we switch over? Round control to Major Tom. All right, we're gonna keep watching Thanasis for a while. We're gonna keep watching. He's doing some good work here.
He's doing some great work. But yeah, and then we'll just say if anyone's out there, if you could just switch us over. But yeah, Thanasis is doing great work, and I think awesome. So we are switched over. It looks like
Adam has a very similar setup.
Yep, and I love how Adam. He put the numbers at the top. Like that's like a nice. I just like you can see he changed some of the headers here.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it makes it a lot easier to kind of read across as he's doing it. So I guess he's counting the number of letters, except it doesn't look like he's got any 2s in there. There should be 2 O's in Microsoft.
That's true.
Maybe he's doing the count somewhere else. I'm not totally sure. But it looks like broadly his setup is pretty similar to Thanasis. What's interesting to me is if you look at the layout for the points, there's 5 questions, and the last 2 both have significantly lower points, but also an implication that they're significantly easier. Which is, I'm surprised that nobody seems to have said, okay, you know what, let's jump down to the end and get some points in the bag. Oh, but Chris has got a lot of points on the board now. Why don't we flip over to him? He must have got a level out. Let's go take a look. So yeah, he's got the first section cleared. So that was pretty zippy. He's not even 7 minutes in, and he's cleared a level. That's impressive. And it looks like he's making a copy of his sheet to work out the workings for the bonus.
Nice. And that's a smart move, right? To like, do you copy your sheets, or do you just keep making more formulas out to the right?
I'm sometimes guilty of that sort of sprawl. Yeah. Oh, it looks like Greg has got level 1 out as well.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
It's interesting. You see this kind of split a lot in the way that people approach it. Like Greg and Thanasis and Adam, I think, all had the kind of layout, all the formulas in one row. It looks like Chris has laid it out across multiple rows just for one case, and then used a data table to bring up the answers for all the different cases. And you see
data table
again here now for the bonus question.
Can I ask, do you ever use data tables in real life?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I mean, not terribly often, but there are some things that they're just better for than anything else.
Interesting.
That's Okay, so Chris has got his, so he's cleared all of the first level now, including the bonus. Nice.
Now he's starting on the second one. This is the real problem.
Yeah, so this is, oh, I just realized it looks from the scores, I'm just looking, it looks like Greg has actually, he's got the same 1700, but he's got it from doing a bunch of different bonus questions, if I'm reading this right. Why don't we flip over to Greg? I assumed 1700 meant he had got the level out. Yeah, no, it looks like he's just been smashing through all the bonus questions. That's an interesting approach. And now I guess he's starting on. So it's funny. We talked a little bit about, you know, you asked me would I go and look for the one that suited me best.
Yeah.
So when we did our pre-call the other day, you know, Greg challenged me. He said, well, you know, you're learning Pythons and, you know, you've already qualified, so why don't you do these in Python?
Right.
And I said, ooh, that might be a bit hard, but I said, okay, I'm gonna try and do one in Python. And so I did exactly what you described. I looked down through them to see, okay, most of these I probably could not do in Python, but this one seemed like actually a pretty good candidate for it because Python works nicely with sort of lists of lists and lists of tables,
right.
that sort of thing. And so this was the one that I tried to do in Python. But it looks like he's got a pretty nice dynamic array setup going for it.
For the folks out there, this problem was actually the license plate problem that he's working on.
Exactly. So you've got like a long string of, you know, a license plate, which is sort of a couple of letters, dash, and some number of digits. Then a speed, it's like whatever, 52 kmph, and then you just got like, I don't know, 20 or 30 or something of those strung together, and you can see it there in one long text string. And so you have to break it out into all of its component pieces. You have to figure out which ones are speeding, meaning 51 kilometers an hour or more, and then you have to break out the number from the license plate for each of those and sum them up. So it's a lot of kind of data manipulation.
See, what I like is it's like partially it's real, but then it always has this twist at the end. It's like that always throws me. You know, take the numbers out and sum them up. But that is a way to, like, if you wanted to run this as a competition, that'd be a way to make sure you got the answers right. Also, it's interesting, you know, because it just makes you think about the problem differently.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I sort of think, oh, interesting. I thought he was going to split it on a couple of different dilemmas, but he's splitting it and wrapping. Ooh, but that's putting his hours. I guess he needs to wrap 3s instead of 2s. Let's
see if he can set up.
See if he debugs, or he could just potentially could switch to. Oh, interesting. He's just going to substitute it out. And yeah, it's funny. There's so many different ways that you can approach these things. It's always interesting to see what people think of in the moment. Now, yeah, I guess if he gets rid of km per hour, then yeah, now he's just got numbers over there. That's pretty smart. I like
That's an interesting way of doing it. And then it looks like Thanasis has gotten to 2,000 now. So do we want to flip over and see what he's up to?
Yeah, I guess that means he's probably got the first bonus out as well. But yeah, let's go take a look. Yeah, so he's cleared the first bonus as well, and now he's working on the reels. So this reels one is, you basically have like 5 reels, just like you see here. You spin them a certain number of times. So, but part of the challenge is just to handle, you know, the number of spins could be bigger than there's whatever 19 things on each, I think, but you might spin it like 50 times, and so you have to handle it rotating around through the same values again. And then there's also this weird thing about, for the scoring, the same thing adjacent to each other cancels out. So like you can see in that little example in the bottom left, the $2 and the 2 bikes cancel each other out. So you're only scored on the clover. So there's a lot going on here.
Now, do you think knowing statistics or some other math would help out with this one, or is this really knowing Excel?
I think this is all about Excel. It's like quite an idiosyncratic rule set, and it's just like how efficiently can you convert that into Excel formulas. I think he's broken out a mod already, so he obviously knows how to handle cycles in Excel. But let's see, there's a moment of hesitation. Maybe he's not sure exactly what to do with it, which would be fair.
Yes.
The challenge with mod is that mod is sort of 0 based. So like
exactly, I was just about to say that
it'll give you 0 to 18, which you can't throw into an index.
So we'll see if he put the +1 there, but I do think he might have to
without even pausing.
Yeah, I think he still might have to adjust that G.
Index, though.
Let's see here. No, I guess not. Wait, no, that does bring up the index, so he might have to adjust that.
Let's look upping now. I think he might have this set up right. It's interesting. So
Well,
he's pulling back the symbol first and then converting it to a number, which is sensible. Although I think on this case you don't actually have. So look, you can see now that he's matching the symbol, so that's good.
That means the model. He's validating that the model works.
Exactly. And it's interesting. One thing that these questions have that a lot of the regular esports don't have in as much detail is like they usually have the rules like you have here, but then on all of these ones they've actually laid out like here are the steps of the example. Like you spin this many times, and that means it lands on this thing, and that means this is next to that, so it cancels out. So it's actually very helpful when you're trying to validate like what's going on here. Now he's trying to do a two-dimensional XLOOKUP. Oh no, he's got it figured already.
Yep.
Except he's looking it all up on the first column. He's gonna have to change that. But okay, no, he's
note that oh, there we go. Note that he also named he named that
that is
reels.
amazing discipline to do under this kind of time pressure.
Yes.
I have to say, like I often don't myself, even though I've like done this a bunch of times. Like I know this is a good strategy, I still often don't because I'm like, I gotta get going.
Yeah, right. I don't want to sit there and think of a name. Like I would just think of like J1, J, but those are already taken. J1's already taken. Can't name it that.
Yeah, you can always go _J.
Yeah, that's true. That's my new name, _J. All right, maybe we should take a look at Adam. I know Adam hasn't put any on the board yet, but let's take a look and see how he's doing.
So it looks like he's working on the snowman. Let's see, what is he? Okay, so he's got the total points worked out by the looks of it, because I recognize that 1300 he needs to apply the penalty to divide it by 2 to get the 650, but he's got the running total right.
Now, if you were 15 minutes in and you felt like you couldn't finish this, do you move on and come back? Or
it's a really tough decision. Like if you think you've done the workings and it's not quite clicking, like you're not getting the answers out, it's really hard to know, because the challenge is that if you stick with it for a few more minutes, the yield, if it works, is very high. Like he could suddenly realize that there's like 1 comma out of place and boom, the whole level falls out. Or you could get stuck in a rabbit hole. And maybe 10 minutes later he hasn't made any progress, and that's kind of devastating, especially in something like this where you have to like jump so quickly from one problem to the next. So I've done a lot of these cases. I have not yet figured out the real best strategy for dealing with this. Oh, it looks like Chris has got another level.
I saw that.
Nice. He's flying.
Let's maybe take a look at Chris. See. All right,
so he's got the reels out. I wonder, is he going to go straight on and do the bonus question that comes with that? The bonus question for section 2 is actually quite similar to the bonus question for section 1, which is, section 1 it was how many times does this letter occur in all this stuff, and this time around it's like how many times does what's the most common number to occur across all of them. So it's the workings are quite similar, and actually there's one later on, the license on a plate bonus as well is kind of similar, except you got to do a little more pre-processing for that. So I'll be interested to see if people try to kind of reapply their workings there. It looks like he's using that same kind of lens substitute trick we saw somebody else using earlier. So how much shorter does the length of it get when I substitute this thing out? So he's doing that for one number, and then I guess maybe he's going to data table to figure out what is that total when he converts it to every other number.
Now you need to analyze every single number and pull out how many a certain one shows up. He's
looking to see if he's got the points, but I don't think he's doing it right. So it's interesting. I think he may have misread, because the instructions say. I'm misreading. I'm mixing it up with later on. This one just asked how many 8s, so he did have the right question there.
So I wonder how I would do that. It's an interesting one. It's like you have to turn it into one big list, and then you have to get the mode of the list.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, it looks like he just did each of the ones individually and added them together, which works just fine. But I thought of it as like, let's concatenate them all together.
Yep.
So it looks like he is moving on to Bear Island. Now this is definitely the trickiest one in my opinion. maybe even more so than like it's 2,000 points, and the next couple behind it are like 1,750. I think actually for me the difficulty difference on this one was probably more than that, just because there's a lot going on here. So you've got this map of the island and where the bears are, and you've got to figure out for various different places that you might put a house. Consider the value of all the land around it, and the value of the land is impacted by whether there's sand there, whether there's trees there, whether they're in the vicinity of a bear. And that's one of the trickiest pieces, because the kind of range of a bear can be large. So like the black bears have a 5x5 range that they affect. Now he's
measuring that.
He's playing with fire here, because this was my first thought as well, was like, let's just copy the bears and spread them out. But actually, if he does that, he's going to replace the trees around the bear with a bear, and then it's going to go wrong. So I actually ended up making a second copy of the map to spread the bears out separately.
Well, he does have a map here. Let's see here. The map, he has it.
Oh, you're right. He has a separate tab called bears. So yeah, no, he knows what he's doing. Why am I underestimating this guy who's already 40% of the way through in less than 20 minutes?
I mean, I think it's a fair point for people watching, something to really just think about. Just in life, do you ever want to mess with the raw data?
Yep, that is.
I think there should always be a little hesitation.
That is the right question, for sure. It's interesting. He's distinguishing, like, I guess, black versus panda versus koala. But I think for this question, you actually don't need to. You only need to know bear or not bear. But I mean, it certainly won't hurt him to keep his options open by retaining the detail. But I messed up multiple things on this question when I did it. But one of the things that I did, I'll be curious to see if Chris does it as well, is I didn't copy that bottom right koala. I only did the two at the top. Oh, well, there you go. He's already beating me. Nice. Okay, so he's got a nice setup with that. I assume he's going to want to put some letters against the sand, which I guess you could just do manually or find and replace by format, or there's a bunch of ways you can do it, but I'd be curious to see how he tries to tackle that. I'm just going to cast it right down
and it looks
like Adam got level 1 out.
I was going to say.
Everyone is flying through this
scored. I mean, like, yeah, I guess they are flying compared to when I tried it. It does seem. I don't even want to say how long it took me.
Hey, we're on the protected side of the fence. We don't have to say nothing.
That's true, but you earned your spot. I'm just showing up as a as an outsider, as it were. Yeah, it looks like all of our challengers are on. I think of all of them, Greg has the most interesting one. He's only completed, or he's knocked out S4, and he's completed 4 out of the 5 bonuses, versus everyone else has more or less gone in order.
I'll be curious to see as the time goes on. I mean, maybe some people manage to make it through it all. It would be impressive, but certainly not inconceivable at the speed some of them are going. But if they don't, will Greg, who's being obviously quite thoughtful about the order to take them, end up feeling good about himself for having done that, or will he regret time spent on it? I don't know.
Good question. Well, how do you feel about looking at the big board? You can see all 4.
Yeah, let's do it.
Challengers. See where they are. Oh, okay. Well,
we're going to stay in the zone.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a good idea. Then we'll just stay.
Switch back over to Greg, see what because he's finished the one we saw him working on, I guess, which is the license plate one. So I wonder which one he's decided to tackle next. I guess if he's going in kind of lowest to highest. Yeah, interesting. He seems to be going in like lowest to highest point order. He tackled all the bonuses first, and now he's doing the kind of lowest scoring of the others. So this one is the bingo. So you've got 2 players bingo cards, and you got to figure out how many balls get drawn before at least one player can mark off all the numbers on their card. This one is actually, in my view, this is like a very dynamic array friendly one. You can see that he is doing exactly that. He's like matching the whole sort of grid of numbers against the list.
I can see that. And Sorry,
Looks
go
like
ahead.
Thanasis has caught up with Chris as well. This is, I mean,
Wow.
I'm impressed at how quickly these guys are moving. Like, you think we're definitely less than 40% of the way through the time, and they've both broken out. Yeah,
And we
wow.
can
So they've
see,
both got all of section 1 and all of section 2, including the bonus.
yep. And we can see section 1, everyone except for Greg. And then still section 3 and section 5 are still up for anyone to grab. None of the challengers have completed those yet. And we can see Adam has not done any of the bonuses either.
So I think section 3 could actually really be where the rubber hits the road for the kind of trade-off between the strategy of just work through them in order and, you know, start with, you know, getting the easiest points on the board as quick as you can. Because in my mind, section 3 is definitely the hardest. Like, I think if Chris or Thanasis can just, you know, push on through section 3 at the pace they've done the rest, they're probably in good shape to finish the whole thing within the hour. But on the other hand, you know, it's hard and it's quite detailed and gnarly, and that, you know, they could easily get stuck on it. It's, you know, it's not hard to see that we could end up in a situation where Greg gets everything except section 3 done, doesn't even touch that, but ends up coming out ahead if those guys get bogged down in it, because it is a tough one.
And do we know the maximum amount of points?
It's out of 10,000.
Out of 10,000. Okay. And so do the bonuses contribute to that?
Yeah, so all the bonuses together are 2,000, and then there's like the biggest individual cases, which is the Bear Island one, the level 3 is 2,000, and then the first 2 are each like 1,750, so almost as much, and then the last 2 are each 1,250, so they're a chunk less each. Looks like Greg has got another 600, which is interesting because that must mean he's got some but not all of that level out. Why don't we go take a look at Greg, see if he's getting stuck on something. Or I wonder if he even realizes that he's moving on. He's working on Snowman now. He must not have noticed that he hasn't got all of. He's got like half of level 5 out. I wonder if he's like just got the cases where player 1 or just got the cases where player 2 wins. He might have a bug in one of his 2 players, because in that one you got to figure out, you know, at the stage where the first player gets it, which ball has just been drawn. So I guess he's not looking because he's moved on, or maybe he's just decided it's not worth debugging at this stage. Maybe he'll get back to that if he has time later.
And sometimes that's what you have to do. You know, I mean, we've all been there where we looked at a problem on our screens, banged our heads against the wall, and it wasn't until we looked at something else that we got the inspiration to solve it.
Yeah.
And so maybe
absolutely.
he just had to move on, you know?
And it's interesting. It looks like he's correcting his calculation for the first bonus, and yeah, he's got all the bonuses out now, so he is on fire. And but by the way, I just noticed a question in the chat, which is someone asking about the bonus scoring. So in the usual rounds, the like Road to Las Vegas battles, only some, like maybe 2 out of the 4 or something like that, people on the live stream can get the bonuses. This time around, because they're all going in kind of 5 different directions at once, they can get the points in any order they want, and there's no limit on how many people can get the bonuses. So even if other people do the bonuses first, anyone in theory can make it all the way to the 10,000.
And you know, I think what's interesting about doing the bonuses first is that it introduces you to the problem in some sense. You know what I mean? Every single one of them, you have to just see the problem. So you're able to review the problems very quickly and then keep that in mind as you move forward. So, I mean, as compared to Chris and Thanasis, who appear to be just working kind of in order, Greg maybe has some sort of edge because he's looked at, I mean, I don't, you know, we'll see how it plays out. But
I mean, that's true. Like, I guess his taking time to look at each of the bonuses and probably also helps with this thing of like, okay, so what order do I actually want to tackle these in? That makes sense.
Right. We'll see, and we'll see if it pays off.
We will. That is the big mystery. We're not even halfway through yet, so there's still a lot of room for ups and downs and drama to play out here. Why don't we take a look back at Adam, see where he is? He's obviously got level 1 out. I wonder, did he also just go straight on to level 2? No, interesting. So he's jumped up to level 4. This is the license plates one, and it looks like he's done a text split on that. Or I don't know, actually, like, just from looking at this, he could have a text split formula, or he may have just gone text to columns, which also works fine for this.
And now it looks like he's looking for, he's looking to delimit them, or to,
you know,
like,
actually,
use that delimiter to pull that information out.
Yeah, it's interesting. He has gone text to columns because if you look, the data transcript column only has the one value in it now. So it's not kind of here's the 10 and here's the split out of it. He's just broken it right up. That's interesting.
And now he's looking for what that if he can pull out that that information. He's looking if he can pull out, it looks like the speed from it.
Yep.
And so you know, this just as a reminder for those watching. So for something like this, you would not be allowed. Are you allowed to use Power Query in this?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Anything you can do in Excel. You can use Power Query, you can use VBA, you can use Python if you want, if you have it. But I would say the vast majority of the time, I mean, they're certainly all solvable just in Grid. And I would say almost all the time, unless there's like something that you don't know how to do in Grid, you're probably, at least in my experience, you're probably faster just doing it in the Grid. I don't think I've ever used VBA in one of these competitions.
But do you know others who have?
Yep. Yeah, I've seen it a couple of times on the live streams, and I know some people have kind of mentioned it. I've even once or twice I've seen people use Power Query. It can be quite good for like some of the data splitting stuff. Like actually, I know Giles Mail told me he uses it for some of the funky, like, you know, where you've got text instructions that have numbers in the middle of it, like the split column or the make column by examples from Power Query can actually be a great way. Like, you don't have to think through the logic. You can just say, well, I want a 47 from here and I want a 35 from here, and it'll be like, okay, looks like this is what you're looking for. Here you go. So that can be pretty powerful, I think.
I think for me, I would definitely use Power Query for this problem as I was going through it. And as I say that, I do want to say that Thanasis has pulled ahead at 5,000.
Wow, so he has passed the halfway mark. We're not even half an hour in, and he is flying.
So he did not.
Oh, interesting. He skipped Bear Island.
Yep. He didn't do the third one. He skipped that, and he's only done the first and the second bonuses. So he's not finished the bonus for the fourth one yet.
The bonus for section 3 is actually not that hard and is kind of completely independent of all the kind of really complicated logic. You just have to count the sand cells on the map. The only thing is you do have to be careful because there's sand around the coast, but there's also sand around like a little lake in the middle of the island. So it's, I mean, maybe he's tried and got it wrong, or maybe he just hasn't tried it yet. But it looks like he's tackling this one on fine form.
And if you see this, he said he had the choose rows, wrap columns, text split. And I just can't help but notice that those are all new Excel functions. Those are all the ones that came out in the last few years.
This guy is cutting edge. I love it. It's interesting.
Just shows you.
It looks like he's splitting it into the license plates and the speeds, and then he's just taking one of those and then the other. Nice. He's taking text after to get the number after the dash. Yeah, so he's got the numbers out. Now he just has to do the same thing for the speeds.
Now,
this setup is going to serve him well.
I think so. And like, you know, in watching this and thinking about what you've done, have you ever done one of these problems and then later on at work or something like that, you thought to yourself, oh, I know how I can solve this because of, you know.
Oh, 100%. I mean,
interesting.
The proportion of the time that I overcomplicate things is not small, let's just say. But it's really interesting tactically. Like a lot of these problems, if you sat back and reflected for half an hour and then started work with like a really clean, clever design in mind, you could fly through them. But in the moment, under the time pressure, I honestly don't know how much time it makes sense to stop and think. So like I often just like the first thing that comes into my head, I just jump in. And, you know, sometimes that turns out not to be a very smart approach. But, you know, if you jump in and, you know, sometimes it's the right approach and sometimes it's kind of dumb, but you push on through either way, then, you know, maybe it takes you like 5 more minutes to work through when you get the approach wrong, and you're just as fast when you get the approach right, but you save 3 or 5 minutes of thinking time. I don't know. Maybe it's worth it. Maybe it's not. For any given question, it's hard to know. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. We got a question in the chat here. Do you have any advice for seeing the logic to questions quickly? That is a difficult question. I think, I mean, this is like a bit of a lame-o answer, but I think the best I can say is it comes with experience. Like there's a lot of stuff here that is, you know, there are patterns that come up again and again. So like, for example, the map for Bear Island, like that comes up on the Bear Island question, but it also comes up on some of the racetrack questions, on some of the game board questions. Like it's pretty common that there is, you know, some grid that you're going to have to like refer to. It's pretty common that there's some, you know, table of player values or something like that. There are, you know, not that every question fits a pattern, but there are probably a half dozen or so patterns that cover more than half of the types of questions. And, you know, each one of those patterns has, you know, certain approaches that often, you know, work well for it. It was interesting. One of the first things I noticed that Chris did was insert a row and a column above and to the left of the map of the bears. That's actually an interesting trade-off if you're used to doing those grid questions, because a method that a lot of people use is to like use indirect to point at that particular cell. So like, you know, whatever, if you're interested in building on X6, like in the first example there, then you can find out the value that's in cell X6 just by using indirect. But if you insert a row and a column, then you can't. So that's, you know, and there are good reasons to go either way on that, but that's a sort of trade-off that, like, I would look at that question and immediately know, okay, if I insert a row and a column here, I'm going to face that trade-off later, and I might need to do it anyway, or I might not. I know that there's the indirect method, but I know that there's other ways as well. Like, it's, you know, if I want to kind of do, you know, sometimes I'll unravel the grid, or sometimes I won't. There's like different tactics that apply. Oh wow, Chris is back in the lead.
Yep.
Interesting. So he's pushed through Bear Island. He hasn't quite got it all out, but it looks like he's got most of it out. That is, let's see, where is he? Yeah, he's got 80% of it out. Now, at that point, I would guess his best bet is just to say 80% is pretty darn good. Let's move on. Because 20% of that is only 400 points. And if debugging that 400 points means that he doesn't quite finish the last question that's worth 1,200 points, then that's going to be very costly. So if I were him, I would bail on that now and just come back to it if I have time at the end. But I'll be curious to see what he does.
And we only have 25 minutes left. We have two contenders who have gotten more than 50% of the points, and two others still working through, but it's still anyone's game at this point.
Absolutely. I mean, it's, you know, there's definitely a lead here, but, you know, like, the thing is that the points are so lumpy. Like if Greg now, you know, while we haven't been looking, has cracked Bear Island, then suddenly he jumps up to 5,900 and he's like barely behind Chris. So yeah, I agree. It is wide open right now. Why don't we flip back to Greg, see what he's up to at the moment. He was working on Snowman when we left him. Oh yeah, and I see he's got the multiples in there. So the 0.5 for if he loses. Ooh, throwing in an offset, controversial. I honestly, was it this? No, it wasn't this one, but on the Bear Island one, I recorded my attempt. I'm gonna post it later when this is all over. But I used both an offset and an indirect, and I sort of chuckled to myself about how much the haters were gonna hate it as I was doing it, because sometimes you just gotta stick it to them.
It's true. I mean, you only have a certain amount of time. Like if I'm building a model for someone, as I understand it, offset and indirect they've been rewritten or are in the process of being less volatile and less less of an issue to slow down your spreadsheet. But if you have only a certain amount of time, like the way that indirect is structured, the way that offset is structured, I think it's very intuitive. And so I think they're very easy to work with. Yeah.
I agree. And there's, you know, I mean, you think about, compared to doing a two-dimensional lookup to find what's in, you know, the cell has its column labeled X and its row labeled 6, it's a lot faster. And, you know, like, it's something in a competition setting like this, your spreadsheet shouldn't get so big that calculation speed is a major issue, even if you did kind of recalc the whole thing every time.
True. And, you know, we can see he's using some product here, some product being what, if someone said, hey, Jordan, what do you put in your hair? I'd say some product.
That's terrible. I can't believe you said that. That is, you are not licensed to tell a joke that bad until you have children.
Well, I think I've earned it with my hair, you know. Well, why don't we take a look at Adam?
Yeah,
see
let's do it.
see how
Looks
he's
like
doing. I
Greg's
know.
about to crack a level, so he's going to be in the mix. Let's see if Adam's about to catch up as well. Let's see what one is he doing. It looks like he's doing the bingo case as well. And it looks like he's laid out 90 columns for each of the two players. Okay, and now he's going to try and figure out when it was. So what's he doing? He's doing index. Okay, yeah. So he's trying to figure out when's the first time. It looks like he's got a running total of how many of their balls have come up, and he's going to figure out when does 15 first occur there. It's pretty sensible
See
approach.
how quickly he did that. You know, he flipped through with he changed the references, and that was just like so fast. All right, and so now he's looking. So that's P1, P2. And now he's going to adjust
But
this
he's got
here.
locked columns there, so that's going to. Although actually no, that shouldn't matter. It's just these ones. He probably wishes he hadn't locked them, but never mind. It won't take him long to fix. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, and he's got 89 for player 2. He's got 90 for player 1, and that is the right answer for the example. So he's probably like 10 seconds away from cracking this level by the looks of it.
See if he does it.
Just needs to take the minimum of those two and then copy his workings down, I think.
All right, so now he's going to move this over. Yep, that's exactly what you said he needed. And he's going to take the minimum there. It's player 1.
So that should be another 1250 for him. Oh, it looks like Greg has jumped up a little bit, but he must have not got some, but not all.
And do you remember how? I mean, hopefully we'll see in a second. But do you remember how much is this case worth?
This one is worth 1250. So this one won't leap him right back up to where the others are, but he'll be into the 4000s if he gets this right, which I think he has. Those numbers look sort of kind of right. It's interesting. He's being very diligent, linking them back to here before he copies them over to the Excel online. But all right, moment of truth. Is his score going to go up by 1,250 points? Oh, interesting. It looks like he got missed by 50, or did I misremember the scoring? I don't know. Anyway, he got almost all of it right. No, it looks like he got all of it right. Cool.
Yep, looks like it cleared it out.
All right, so he is back in the mix. It looks like Thanasis is just like racing ahead here. He's got all the sections except Bear Island out and 2 of the bonuses. So now I guess the question is he going to try and pick off the lower hanging fruit with the bonuses, or is he going to go straight for section 3? It's an interesting tactical trade-off, because if he gets section 3 out, that's worth more than all the other bonuses put together, but that's also the biggest and hardest thing, and so it's the highest risk route to take. Oh wow, and Chris has jumped up as well. So let's see what's going on here. Looks like he has not fixed Bear Island, but he's got level 4 out. He's still at 80% of Bear Island, and he's got 3 bonuses. I mean, I gotta say, it looks like Chris and Thanasis are both gonna get basically done. Maybe they don't get exactly 10,000, but they're gonna have pretty much everything finished here. This is seriously impressive.
We're gonna find out. I mean, it just seems like they're neck and neck. You know, minute by minute. We have 20 minutes left, so that's less than half the time. Our contenders are going to have to start making some choices about what they're going to work on to finish us out. But it does seem like Chris and Thanasis are really just kind of like just trading for that #1 spot.
Yep. Okay, so Adam's got the bonus out for level 1 now, and a couple of the others as well. Or sorry, no, just the one bonus, but a few levels out. So he's almost at the halfway mark as well. This is exciting.
This is exciting.
All right, why don't we flip over to somebody else? Let's see what is Thanasis. I'm very curious to see, has Thanasis gone for the kind of the big chunk in section 3, or is he trying to tackle the bonuses? And there's the answer. He is going straight to Bear Island.
Right.
So I feel like how Thanasis gets on with Bear Island, it feels kind of likely at this point to be what decides the outcome of the match between Chris and Thanasis. Because Chris is stuck at 80% of Bear Island. He could get into a real rut if he has to go and debug that. It's interesting. He's going for a circular reference approach with calculating these, which is an option, but you don't really have to on this one. But I guess it works. So why not? He did it pretty darn quick too. That's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem quick.
That's going to take you some real kind of thinking through, but nope, it's just like boom, done.
Some people just have it. I mean,
that's it.
So this might be one of those clincher moments. If he gets this, we'll see how far he's gotten.
Yeah, I mean the challenge with Bear Island is there's so many pieces to it. So like the distance from the airport is one factor, but then you also got to figure out how much sand, which means you have to convert the colors into references. You got to figure out where the bears are, which means you got to figure out a range around each of them, and you got to figure out whatever. Oh yeah, the number of trees in the area as well.
So do you think he's figuring these out one at a time? Is that what it's like he's doing? Like he's doing one map for bears, another map for trees. And it looks like he's putting points.
But it looks like he might be in danger of making the same mistake I wondered if Chris might make, which is he might be about to paste the bear over the trees. And if he loses the trees, he's in some trouble.
That's true. Uh-oh.
Ooh, so this could be the moment right here.
Well,
although actually, no, the example does break it down in detail. It kind of walks you through, okay, there's this many bear squares, this many tree squares. Let me see. Is the example I think is close to some tree. Oh, but the trees that it's close to, I don't think over the example is X6. So yeah, no, that will. I think that'll be close to trees that overlap with bears. So he might at least realize that. Oh, it's interesting. He's reversing, so maybe he's already realized that something's going wrong with that approach. This is, I mean, these are the moments that the whole campaign, stands or falls on, which is. You make one silly mistake. Like I said, for me, I forgot to copy the bottom right, orange koala bear down, and so that like blew up a whole chunk of it for me. But
I think that map. My sense is that map he made on the right side, that was his backup. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That he was playing with the original. So I'm thinking that this one on the right side is the backup. But
it looks like
what
that's
about
just
the
the
trees?
backup for the formatting. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So he can use that one for the sand, but he can't use that one for the trees if he pastes bears over the one on the left. So I don't know. Why don't we flip back to Greg? Let's kind of keep moving around here.
We have 15 minutes left, so this is getting to the moment. When you first start out,
can happen in 15 minutes.
It's true. It's all fun and games when you first start out, but now even I watching this, I'm starting to sweat.
Okay, so it looks like whatever Greg has done, he's got the 5 items matching the example there. So let's see. I mean, there's still a little bit of work to do, but he's probably done the hardest part of cracking this level, which means he probably is about to catch up. Although he's got both Section 5 and Section 1, he's got something not quite working. So I guess he's probably less well placed to get to a clean 10,000, but who knows if anybody gets to a clean 10,000 within the 15 minutes. I think there are a couple of people there are probably still 3 people who plausibly could, but maybe more likely for Chris and Thanasis and a little less likely for Greg, just because he'd have to do 2 sets of debugging to make it there. Chris's 80% is still the only points anybody has on the board for Bear Island.
I was just about to say that of all the sections, Section 3 has nobody who's 100%.
Which I feel like this is lining up pretty well with my statement earlier that it's maybe the harder one by more than the point gap even suggests. It is complicated.
And on a personal level, I used to draw these maps in Excel when I was bored at work, and now it's great to just see them in a world championship game. Like it gives me some validation.
I love it. Why don't we switch back to Chris, see what he's working on? He's got a lot of stuff out. I guess he must be working on level 5, probably.
And right now, he is the leader at 7,900.
He is, but by a decent margin. Although, again, if Thanasis gets 2,000 for Bear Island, he leaps off ahead. And then he's only got kind of relatively small things to crack through.
Now, let's take a look. You can take a look at his worksheet tabs down there. He's got sheet 1, sheet 3, bonus 1.
Oh, yeah. He's
with
really
SA capitalized. That's how you have to work. This one just says B4. We got case parentheses 2.
I love it. Case 2. That is classic. Yep. Like I don't have time to name these sheets anymore. I'm in a hurry. Yep. It's the last 15 minutes. Let's go.
We've all been there.
We definitely have.
So right now it looks like he's working on the bingo problem. We have player 1 and player 2. That's what I'm guessing.
I think that's right. And okay, it looks like he's got again the running count a little bit like Adam had. So now he just needs to figure out
what is the minimum.
Oh, interesting. That's a nice way to do it. Yeah, so min if it's 15. Yeah, that's good. So that'll give him. Yep, that'll give him 1 player, and then he just needs to do the same again to get the second player and take them in. So it looks like Chris is about to crack level 5. And the bonus.
No, look at that. You see that? It was if it's greater than it. I don't know if you saw that really quick. It was like 9999 getting arbitrarily.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, look at that.
So he looks like he's in doubt, but no, he's got the right workings there. I think he just needs to take the min of those and then data table it. So whew, he is going to be one bonus question, which is not a super. The bonus question for this one is just figuring out there's one ball not drawn in the first 16 rounds across all the games. You got to figure out which one it is. Which, as long as he's able to sort of two call or some other way unravel the data, that one's not too hard to do. So then it may literally just be he's got 10 minutes left to debug Bear Island, which would be a very nice position to be in going down the final stretch.
Let's see if he makes the points
Moment
here.
of truth.
I think he's got it.
Moment of truth. Yes.
Pasted that in.
God. So he's above
Oh,
90%.
wow.
This is amazing.
So now he's just taken this. He may have just clinched the win here. I mean, there's still plenty of points out there. There's still 10 minutes left, but he is way out ahead.
Yes. So it looks like he's going to have a go at that last bonus question now, which is interesting. He's done the setup where he's like carried over his workings, done a new data table for the bonus part. But in this case, that's probably not going to help him. He just wants to go back direct to the data. I wonder if he knows or has the two call function, because if he does, that would make this like a two call and a unique would get you the list of all the numbers in there pretty quick. Oh yes.
Oh, here we go.
Here it comes. Here it comes.
You got the two call. Okay.
This guy knows.
Oh, here it is. You called it.
All right, then you can wrap that in a sword, I guess, and compare it to his own. Okay.
Oh, he's gonna do. Okay,
he's gonna
yeah,
do the
this'll work
sequence
too.
of 90 and compare it to it. That makes sense. He's just gonna figure out which ones are in those.
Now,
VLOOKUP. I love the controversial use of functions.
I know, right?
Here.
Now, you talked about having the wind at your back. Like, I wonder if he feels that right now.
I mean, he's got to be
There it
feeling
is.
pretty good about himself.
It looks like that was.
All right, so he's got 10 minutes
we
to
put that
debug
66
Bear Island.
in there.
Boom.
It looks like he got
There's
it.
a 96%. Wow. All right, well let's go and check in on some others. Wow, it looks like Greg has got a bunch of small stumbles along the way, so that's going to be a challenge for him. Adam is actually gaining some momentum. He's got 4 of the bonuses out now and 3 full levels.
Right.
And Thanasis is still working on Bear Island, but honestly, if he's close to finishing that, it's not inconceivable that if he has 10 minutes to get out those last 3 bonuses, he could easily do that. Why don't we go and check in on Thanasis and see if he is about to crack Bear Island? I'm curious, and then we can circle back to Adam and Greg and see how they're doing before we finish. All right, so he's got a bunch of different maps here now. Interesting. So he's put the address into cells in the map so that he doesn't have to do the indirect. So I guess he's going to maybe flatten it or maybe just do a funky lookup there. So, oh yeah, and you can see he's labeled, interesting, he's labeled sand, except it looks like maybe he has not labeled sand in the corners, which makes me think he probably did a find and replace by format. Because I usually do, when there's colors and I want to convert them into something usable, I usually do a find and replace by format. But the challenge with that is if there's multiple pieces of formatting in the cell, like if it's colored yellow but also has, I don't know, Calibri font or something like that, then when you do the find and replace, it only replaces the ones that are both colored yellow and have the Calibri font. So I think in this case, there's like some of the sand cells have a different like text, have a different font or a different number format or something, and so it obviously hasn't replaced those. So if you look at like AB6, for example, it should be sand, but it's not. I wonder if he's going to notice that.
It looks like here it's like he's trying to pull out just a slice to see how well it scores, just to see if we can come up with that result. And we paste it over the rules because, like you said, there are just so many rules in this. I'm certain it's hard to remember as you go through.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I quite like this, like tactically, just like copying the rules onto where you're doing your workings. It makes a lot of sense. Oh, it looks like Greg has overtaken Thanasis, so that's going to make for an interesting finish as well. Why don't we flip over and see what Greg's up to? The challenge with Greg with trying to catch Chris is that he's going to have to debug multiple different levels. Oh, it looks like he's got one of them out because he had 3 levels with wobbles. Now he's down to 2.
And it's
where is he? He's working on Bear Island. Oh, that's going to be tough to do in 8 minutes. It looks like he's only kind of just started it.
And both of them, by the way, I should say, have completed all their bonuses. So they both are good on the bonuses. They have those points locked in. It's really just the problem set now.
Yes. And oh, look at this. Look, he's doing offset indirect. I love it. I love it. That is chef's kiss, both for sticking it to the haters and for other stuff. But there's one challenge with that, which is, so if you, I mentioned earlier the kind of trade-off of inserting the row in the column. If you insert the row in the column, it makes it harder to use indirect. But if you don't insert the row in the column, then you try to do an offset on like the left column or the top row, it's going to give you a range that tries to go up to like A0 or tries to go to like a column to the left of A. So that could throw an error. Although actually I think that the left and the top of the map might all be water cells. So there might not be any property to value in those. So you might get away with that. I'm not totally sure. But it feels like 7 minutes. He's got a good setup here. Like he's pulling out the 3x3 range around it, but it just feels like there's so much to. He's marked the sand already. Okay, it's too soon to write him off. This could still happen.
Let's say he does get it. He still has to complete section 1, that's at 95%, and section 5, which is at 50%. So he is at a bit of a disadvantage because even if he actually gets this, he still has to go and correct them. Versus Chris, he has all the time. Right now, if I were Chris, I would not be, it's anyone's game, but I don't think I'd be sweating as much. I have 20% left to go, and then I'm finished.
The interesting thing is that it looks like Adam could still overtake Thanasis here as well, because, I mean, again, Thanasis could spring up by 2,000 points at any moment if he cracks Bear Island, but this is the sort of trade-off I was talking about before. Like, if he gets stuck on that, he might not get any more points in the whole rest of the time, and that's easy to do, because that's a really bloody hard level. Let's see what Adam's working on. I wonder if he's tackling Bear Island as well, or maybe he's set his sights a little lower. Gone for something.
He's on Bear Island.
No, he's on Bear Island. Oh man, and it looks like he's relatively early on in it as well. So this is going to be tough.
Look at all the sheets he has: sheet 6, sheet 4, sheet 8.
And nothing named. He went straight into hurry mode.
Yeah, right. If someone sent me this spreadsheet, and I didn't know it was a competition, I'd think, But I mean, here we are. When you got to get stuff done.
Yeah, well, here he is among the tournament of champions. So he obviously knows what he's doing.
And I don't know if anyone noticed, Chris Clark's. We don't need to switch to it, but his points dropped by 100 for a second. So he's at I think he hit Control Z on that.
He's changing things.
Yep, he's actively working on that problem, trying to get it. So who knows? He might be able to crack it. We have just about 5 minutes left, so not a whole lot of time.
I was just thinking, I mean, Greg, I'm pretty sure Greg's level 5 problem is just he's somehow only looking at one of the two players. That seems like the most logical way to have got half of them right and half of them wrong. That feels to me like it could be a quick debug. It's not, I wouldn't bank on it, but it's not totally out of the question that Greg overtakes Chris still, because even with his part of level 1, like he's only got 1 out of the 20 in level 1 not working. He won't lose much for that. So if Chris doesn't get the other 400, and if Greg cracks Bear Island and maybe can in like 30 seconds figure out what's wrong with level 1, he's still in the running here. I mean, I feel like at least every pair that's next to each other could flip between now and the end of the time, which is an exciting way to have it at the end.
What do you think about maybe we should take a look at Adam? We haven't looked at his in a minute.
I think you're mixing him up.
Oh, sorry, excuse me, not Adam. We're on Adam, actually. Sorry. Yep. Let's actually take a look at Thanasis.
Let's do it. Yeah. Is he about to crack Bear Island? That's kind of what the whole thing could stand and fall. I mean, trouble is he's running out of time now, even if he does crack Bear Island, because that would get him to like 8,600, but he'd still need to get a bunch of bonuses before the end.
You were doing
catch Chris.
Would you look at the other people's scores, or do you just black that out? You just try your best not to, just stay focused.
I mean, it's an interesting question, because like philosophically, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to do your best, or are you trying, are you trying to get the best score you can get, or are you trying to get the best rank you can get? Because I think the tactics for both are different. I think if you want to get the best rank you can get, then you have to look at, okay, I'm on 6,600. If I crack Bear Island, I can overtake Greg with that. I'm going to have to get like 3,000 more points to overtake Chris. What does that mean I can do in the time? But that is a little different from just, what's the best the best points per minute I can get in the rest of the time. Because, you know, maybe your best points per minute is to do something that gives you a 90% chance of ending up like 100 points behind Chris. But your best ranking strategy is to do something that will give you a 20% chance of getting just ahead of him and an 80% chance of a swing and a miss that's actually not going to get you anything. So I think with like 2.5 minutes to go, the most reliable points per minute would be to go and do a few bonus questions. But taking a shot at getting a whole level out that's worth 2,000 points is definitely, you know, that's the go big or go home strategy. But it looks like I'm just looking. I keep looking at those few sand cells that aren't marked. And those, I guess the only thing is that won't trip him up on every question. So he could end up getting a chunk of Bear Island out, which would be enough. Probably would be enough to overtake Greg. Although again, Greg's score is still moving as well. 2 minutes left, and I feel like there's a lot that could happen here. I think Chris has probably got this.
Yeah, I think so too. Maybe we should take a look at Chris and see if he's gonna figure it out in the last 2 minutes.
I wonder what he might have wrong to get just 20% of them wrong. I don't know. That's, I mean,
Yeah,
again,
what would
there's
hit
so
20%
many
of the problem?
components of this that like it's hard to know. I mean, like the distance from the airport, for example, if that calculation was wrong, I feel like it would be knocking more of them out. It looks like he's got all the bears. We kind of watched him marking the bears. That seemed good. Oh, hang on. I saw one map that seemed to have some, yeah, that one there seems to have some sand cells removed. But that is, I guess, his bear map, not his sand map.
Maybe
So
it's possible that maybe
he might have accidentally deleted some sand cells.
Exactly, right? And maybe that's why. Although this does say map
no, hang
S3
on.
too.
Yeah, I guess this is.
We don't
This
know.
is just the
We
one
don't
where he's
know.
overwritten with the bears. Yeah, it's
possible. I mean, honestly, that could explain it.
Thanasis has got something on Bear Island. Let's see. What did he got? 65%. So that's good enough for second place.
And Greg is right behind him.
I wonder if Adam is gonna dark horse overtake Greg, because Greg was looking kind of comfortably ahead of him for a while, but it looks like Adam might catch him now if he cracks. Although I guess they're both working on Bear Island, that's a big lift to get that cracked with the amount of time they have left. But it does mean that literally everything could change if one of them drops 2,000 points in the last 20 seconds. I don't know. Why don't we let's take a look at Adam. Let's take a look at Greg. We'll flip between them quickly in the last 20 seconds, see if anyone's about to nail it. Or, you know, is this the time that people start throwing in round betweens?
Yeah, that's right.
I guess the score gaps are big enough that that's probably not going to change anything at this point, but you never know.
Is that something you've done? Is that a technique of the Masters ran between?
I mean, you like to think the Masters don't need it, but yes, and at times. Oh, that's it. That's time.
Interesting. All right.
All right.
Amazing.
So pulls out. It stayed the same over the last minute. All could have changed, but it didn't. So yeah, it looks like in a sense Bear Island was the real decider, because Chris got 80% of it out, came top. Thanasis got 65%, came second, and the other two were not able to crack it. But you know, partly because they came to it later. And then again, it's back to that trade-off of if you do all the bonuses first and then come to Bear Island, and Bear Island is too hard to finish in the time you got left. That's going to be hard. Let's bring them back in and hear how that experience was for them. Guys, congratulations! That was an impressive amount of work from all of you. I sort of expected that last place was going to be, you know, in the 3,000 or 4,000 range, but you all got a long way through this. Let's start with Greg and Adam. It looks like you guys got to probably the hardest question of the whole thing right at the end. Adam, you think were you close to cracking Bear Island, or was it not working out?
Oh, not even close. These map type tasks are always difficult for me. So I guess there is a certain technique for them. I just haven't figured it out yet.
It's funny you say that, because I just remembered as I asked you that question that Bear Island was, I mean, it is a different flavor of it, but Bear Island was the question that you qualified on, right? Way back at the start of the year.
Honestly, it was so long ago. It's hard to tell. Lot has happened since then.
So many formulas ago.
That is very true. That is very true. What about you, Greg? You think would another 3-5 minutes have made a difference, or it just wasn't?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I spun my wheels. I went the wrong direction on like level 2, I think, a little bit. So I could have shaved some time there. Yeah.
It's interesting because we Jordan and I were talking about this like tactically at the start. You know, your approach. We saw the almost 2,000 points go up, and we're like, oh, he must have got a level out. And then we looked and realized, no, actually, you'd done like a whole bunch of the bonus questions right away at the start. And it is always the trade-off that, you know, if you go from sort of easiest to hardest, then it's, you know, if the last piece doesn't get done, you're at most risk of missing out a chunk. But I thought it was a good strategy. It seemed to be working well for you, and I'm sure, you know, 2 minutes here or there, or like one slip here or there, either direction, it could have worked out for you. But,
yeah, I wish I had paid attention to the points per answer instead of the difficulty for the levels a little bit more.
We talked about that at the start. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, because it's funny. We figured
threw me astray.
Oh, I did? What did I do? What did I do?
That's when you talked about the difficulties, and so I looked at those.
It's interesting. Yeah. I assumed that you were. I figured you were the one who had looked, because most people kind of started, you know, 1, 2, 3. You were the one who sort of seemed to be like being more thoughtful about where you went. But I guess the points and the difficulties might have led you in slightly different directions. That's interesting.
Yeah, and I didn't think about the questions at all. I just looked. Okay, here's the easy ones. Do those. Now medium. Now hard.
Yep. So Thanasis, talk to us. You were in the lead at various points throughout, and I guess you just got stuck. I mean, Bear Island is a beast. I didn't get it right either. Just, you know, full disclosure here, I made multiple mistakes on that one. But it's a tough question. It looked like you were almost there, but maybe not quite fast enough to take the lead back with it. But...
Actually, I solved it, but a few seconds after the time finished, I realized that some of the sand.
We were watching. You must have done a find and replace by format, was it? We were thinking, oh wait, there's a few sands that aren't marked. This could cost him.
Yes. Otherwise, I feel that I wasted time in things that normally I would be able to solve fast, like text splitting. And, you know, for some reason, my lambdas didn't work.
Honestly, I was impressed to see you were the one. Actually, to be fair, not the only one, but you were one of the ones very much in the kind of cutting edge. Like I loved seeing the scan lambda that you were doing in Snowman. That was nice. But yeah, I mean, it's you can't afford a lot of mistakes when you got to knock out 5 questions and 5 bonuses in 1 hour.
Yeah, at some point you start just building the tables next to each other to go forward.
Yep. So Chris, congratulations. That was an extremely impressive showing. There's a small slip on Bear Island, but you got practically the whole thing out.
I have no idea what was wrong there. I was like looking the last 5 minutes trying to work out where those like 4 wrong answers were, and I just couldn't find it at all. I was tempted to just try and restart it all, but obviously didn't have time for that.
Yeah, that would have been a tall order in just a few minutes.
and Chris, I'm wondering, are you kind of like sitting here like still? Does it bother you not knowing? Like after this, are you going to go back?
I mean, I'm going to go back and get it right. Yes.
That's how you get better.
Or let's be honest,
by being
I wait for this sort of walkthrough video to tell me how it should have been done.
I got to tell you, my walkthrough video is not going to impress you on Bear Island. I literally did make multiple mistakes. I think I made 3 independent mistakes on that one. I do, once I figure out that I check the answers at the end and go back and try and adjust it, and eventually figure out all the things I got wrong. So it'll get there, but in a very, frankly, less impressively than you did by a long way. So, all right. So I don't know if we have it already, but I think that we now have, or very soon will have, the results, because we had 4 people playing today, but we also had about 500 people playing for the last 75 spots in the draw of 128, and I think that we are ready to share the regional results. So I'm sure there's a lot of people sitting on the live stream ready, waiting to hear how did they get on. Can we put up the results? Okay, North America, and wow, this goes to show the sort of, just how impressive Chris's performance was, like the top performance in North America. And again, this is excluding the people who are pre-qualified because, well, they're pre-qualified, but like 8,800 as the top score. Like that
Right.
is, it gives you a sense of how impressive Chris getting 9,600 is. So it looks like anything down to just under 6,000 is a qualifying score for the for North America. That is oh no, hang on, wait, there's more.
No, we have more.
There's more. Yeah, I guess the North America region is a pretty large portion of the total entries for the tournament. So we've got, oh, I see some names I recognize here. Stephanie Anarose, Cecilia. That's awesome. It's funny. I mostly don't recognize the names here, which is also, that's also nice to see because there's lots of new people coming in. So it looks like you needed to get a little over half the marks out to crack it. Wow, look at that. Nicholas got 9,915. But it falls off a good bit after that. Let's see. I recognize a few names here, but again, a lot of new faces. So Nicholas, I've definitely seen in a lot of these rounds. And look at this. He did it with almost 15 minutes to spare. This is crazy. Wow.
That is crazy.
That is really impressive because you look at practically all the top times have been like right up against the hour. That is, wow, very impressive. Henrietta, nice, congratulations. Tim Roberts. I guess we've probably got another page of Europe as well. Yeah, just a few more people there. Interesting. It looks like Europe kept the bar a little bit higher than North America because you needed to get over 5,600 to qualify in Europe. So yeah, congratulations to everybody who made it there. That is no mean feat. And here's Asia Pacific. And Pichaya, congratulations, and Emily, awesome, and John Lim, I recognize. And Samir is in there as well. I don't recognize most of the other names, but that's so. It looks like Chris was actually number 2 in the world with his 9,600. And here's Klinsmann, awesome! I'm very happy to see that. I don't know if you guys have been following, but Klinsmann has been posting about his learning journey through this stuff on LinkedIn with just like what I can only describe as puppy dog like enthusiasm. I'm very, very happy to see that he made the qualification. Congrats for that. Only 2 people make it through for Africa. That is tough, but I guess there just weren't a lot of entrants. But Peter is one of the finalists of the Excel Collegiate Challenge last year, and one of the top people again in the first round this year. So probably on his way back there. So it's great to see a student qualifying for this as well. So wow, that is
incredible.
That is wow. I mean, last year it was obviously I think the questions were quite different in the qualifying round last year, but I feel like last year it was more than half a dozen people got perfect scores, and it was all about how quickly did you get a perfect score. No perfect scores qualifying this year, but a couple of people, including Chris on the live stream, coming impressively close. I wonder if Bear Island was what tripped everybody up.
You can just see like the range of scores. So just we saw on the lower end it was 5,000 around, and then on the top end people were getting 8,800, 9,100. So there is a big range here, but it's still anyone's game if you move on to the next round. Is that not right?
Yeah. I can tell you from personal experience that I've gone in as like one of the top seeds both of the last 2 years and been knocked out in the third round of 7. So I know all about once you get in, it's single elimination. So one slip or just no slips and one strong opponent on any day, and you're out of here. So it is a high variability format, but that's part of the fun as a viewer. It's not exactly low stress as a competitor, but as a viewer, it's a lot of fun. So a little bit on process here, which is I guess I probably should have mentioned this at the start, but so the results we just put up are the preliminary results. There is an opportunity, if like something went wrong, if someone has a chance to kind of lodge an appeal if they feel like they were marked incorrectly or something, there's a chance to look into that. On Monday or Tuesday, the kind of final official results are going to go out, and with that, I don't know if it comes at the same time or a little bit later, but soon after that, there will also be the bracket. So like, for my American friends, think March Madness, only twice as big. You will be able to see the exact path that you need to take to the final, who are the people in your branch down to various different levels. So that is going to be a lot of fun to look at. And that should be out early next week.
And this is all culminating into the World Financial Modeling Cup, right?
Yes.
Going to
So
happen.
the
Yep.
128 get whittled down to 64 to 32 to 16 to 8, and those 8 people are going to be flown to Las Vegas. And there's also going to be a chance because it's not just this happening in Las Vegas. There's also a whole big training event that Jordan and I and a lot of other very smart people are going to be presenting at. And there will be 8 other slots available for people to qualify live from Las Vegas to join the 8 who get whittled down out of this, and then that last 16 will battle out in this enormous esports arena in front of a crowd of thousands of cheering people. We can only hope.
Yes.
And for fame and glory of all kinds. So that's going to be
True.
pretty exciting.
It's going to be really amazing. And I got to say, like, there wasn't this stuff like when I first started using Excel, and it's just like amazing to see how big it's grown and how much respect it's getting.
100%. It's great. And by the way, if you're enjoying this stuff, a few other things to mention that are coming up. There's still 2 rounds left to go in the financial modeling competition in the regular season. So there's one next weekend, and then there's another one next month, and then the knockout rounds for this. Even if you haven't qualified, there's going to be some subset of each of those rounds is going to be broadcast in a format just like this, so you'll get to watch people battling it out live on stream. So that's going to be a lot of fun as we make our way down, and then eventually, of course, we'll make our way to Vegas and see who wins fame and glory and honor and everything else.
Yep, the road to Vegas.
Love it. And that, I think, is all we've got time for today. So it is thank you to everyone who took part today. There's over 500 people competed, and it's tough to say that only less than 15% of those can qualify. But that's the interest and the standard both just keep going up. So that's what we're left with. But yeah, thanks to everyone for playing at home, and thanks especially to the 4 very impressive all-stars, all of whom would have qualified on their scores on the round today, but have already qualified, so they didn't need to. And Jordan, thank you for co-hosting.
Thanks for having me.
And I think that's all we got time for.